Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Comprehensive Plan Public Hearing for Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. We are about to begin, and we could have a roll call.
Commissioner Barnett. Here. Commissioner Baxter. Here. Commissioner Bernard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Marino.
Here.
Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward. Here.
If we could have Commissioner Woodward lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you could please stand. Dear God, we seek your help with our affairs today. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us to make the best use of our own. We are of diverse opinion here, yet we wish to reach agreement satisfactory for all. Please share your wisdom with us to help us do right by all concerned. Thank you for your heavenly blessing. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner R. We're going to move right forward with proof of publication. If we could have a motion to receive and file. Very good. We have a first and a second. All those four? Did you need the names of the first and the second? Very good. The first was by Commissioner Barnett, the second by Commissioner Woodward. And all those four, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0. Now let's go on to agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, substitutions to the agenda?
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners.
Morning, Kevin.
We do have one item for addition, and that is on item 3B1, the Spring Haven MUPD, and that is correspondence received by the town of Haverhill, and a copy of that correspondence has been provided to the Commissioners.
Very good, and I have it in front of me right now. Excellent. We could have, okay, so that would be a motion to receive and file. So you've got that motion by Commissioner Weiss, second by Commissioner Woodward. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes 7-0. Moving right along to any postponements at this time, Kevin?
There are no postponements on the
Very
agenda.
good. And if we could have an adoption of the agenda, could I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Has been first by Vice Mayor Marino and a second by Commissioner Baxter. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes 7-0. Now let's go on to public hearings. And for those who are following, it would be on pages 2 to 4. And looking at that now, all right, why don't we look at 3A1 under the county proposed text amendments, utilities element revisions. Do we have a staff report, and does anybody wish to hear it?
Yes, so just briefly, this is a county-initiated text amendment to address statute changes that occurred in the 2023 legislative session. Staff is prepared with a presentation if the board would prefer.
All right, does anybody wish to have a staff presentation? I see that Commissioner Weiss has something to say.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And since this is in keeping our comprehensive, our utilities element in compliance with the state, I would go ahead and move approval.
Very good. Does anybody else have anything to say at this time? No,
Second
so
that.
we have a second by Commissioner Baxter. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0. So moving right on to 3B1, Spring Haven MUPD. And staff, is there, do we have, and this is in your district, do we have any staff reports at this time, and does anybody wish to hear it?
We can begin with a presentation by the applicant, and then following that, we have Ina Stevchek with the Planning Division available for a Planning Division presentation.
Very good. You're the applicant. You
I
can
am.
Identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Josh Nichols with Schmidt Nichols for the record, representing Spring Haven this morning. So I will keep this fairly brief. We do have a couple folks from the Elks Club that are here as well to say a few words. Because this is partly a residential development as well as the Elks redevelopment of their facility. So that's why those folks are here. So I'll just go through quick. So we are asking for a large-scale land use plan amendment, and we are changing from institutional with an underlying 5 units an acre to institutional with an underlying 8 units an acre. We do have several companion zoning applications that will be back before you after we go to the state for with this transmittal. And then we also went through Planning Commission with a unanimous approval on that end. Just to give you a little indication of where the site is, so we're just east of Jog Road on the south side of Belvedere. Everyone probably seen the Elks facility over the years. They've been there for many decades. There's a new place of worship that was just developed on the corner there of Jog, so we're just east of that. There's some townhomes to our west. You've got zero lot line and townhomes to our south, multifamily to our north, and some single family to the east. So this is kind of the makeup of the current future land use designations that we have. So we just kind of went through that. We have MR5 kind of surrounding us, HR8 to the north, and we're just asking to switch that 5 to the 8 for the underlying. With that, I just wanted to go through public outreach because there was, obviously as you see from the aerial, there are quite a bit of homes around us. So we did do a lot of door knocking and HOA meetings. And so I'm not going to go through each one of these, but this is kind of a timeline of our efforts reaching out. We did meet with the largest HOA, which is the Independence HOA to the south. Had their board, a lot of their members walked away with about 20 plus or minus letters of support from them. And we're still in hopes that we get they say they're going to give us our support letter from the actual board, but we're still waiting on that. But as you can see, no one here from the board, so so that was a good thing. And again, spoke to several of the folks in the Catalina townhomes to our west and to the north, some of those folks. With that, the county's assessment, we're compatible with this existing surrounding land uses. It's consistent with other policies and overlays in the comp plan, as well as the other overlays that we have. We have the PBIAO and the TAPO Haverhill Neighborhood Plan. So all of those items we are consistent with. And we did have 4 conditions of approval that the applicant has agreed to. And with that, happy to answer any questions. Appreciate
Thank you very much. My colleagues have any questions for the applicant at this time? Seeing none, we have a number of cards, and I wonder if we could proceed with that at this time.
Thank you.
Just to make sure, again, we're recommending approval with conditions. The applicant's in agreement with those conditions. Staff is available if you would like a staff presentation, or
Does anybody
totally
wish to have a staff? It's pretty, your assessment here on our agenda is excellent. It's pretty consistent with everything that has been said. So I think that if no one has any questions, it would be fine to proceed with the cards. All right, go ahead, Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. We'd like to hear from Edward Morey Jr., followed by Erminia Kane, followed by Jeff Fisher.
Gentlemen, you can take the other podium as well. And just 1 minute till our timekeeper gets ready. She's the boss of the time.
We ready?
Very good. Go right ahead, sir. Good
All
morning.
right, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Ed Morey. I'm from 199 Canterbury Eye in Century Village. I sat at this podium about 6 years ago celebrating our 100th anniversary. We're going to be 106 years old come July. We were founded in 1918 right down here downtown. In 1971, the Elks moved to 900 62nd Street. Our building's been there over 50-something years. It's taken a beating, and as you know, we give to the community. Our main aspects is the military and the youth of the county and our community. I have the members that will come after me will tell you all about all the things that we do. But I want to let you know, our building has stood hurricanes, bad weather, cold weather, and warm weather. I came here for warm. It's pretty cold for me. But I just want you to know that we finally got a situation here that will help both the Elks and the community and West Palm Beach. We will get a new building, mortgage-free, and you will get labor, housing, and more housing for West Palm Beach, which we all know we need. And this will be a benefit to us as we will have a new building. It's going to be a little bigger, and we will be able to service our community with a lot of pride that we always have. But we don't advertise ourselves because we know what we do. We've had some members that come down to us and to our barbecues and have been judges, and we're just thankful that you're hearing our plea for it. And like I said, I'm going to let my members here tell you the good things that the Elks do. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning. My name's Erminia Kane. I am trustee at the West Palm Beach Elks Lodge and also the vice president of the Southeast District for the Elks. I'm going to talk to you today about the youth. I have the honor to be able to present what we do on a national, state, and local level. Our lodges sponsor 5 schools, elementaries: Winbrook, Hope Centennial, Green Acres, Liberty Park, and Benoist Farms. We provide school supplies every year. We host a breakfast with Santa for 5 of their low-income families in each school. We donate gift cards at Thanksgiving for their low-income families. We also assist in any needs that they bring to our attention. Our other local activities we do in the community, we sponsor the Gold Coast Down Syndrome Walk. We also host a Christmas party for the Gold Coast Down Syndrome. This year we had 150 people show for that with Down syndrome. Very heartwarming. We fundraise for autism. We fundraise for our battered women's sheltered. We hold a trunk or treat every Halloween. We provide weekly meeting place for Boy Scout Troop 199. We sponsor a youth baseball team. At the state level, the Elks own a summer camp that costs $220 a week with scholarships available. Campers do not need to be related to an Elk. We have a therapist in most counties that provide therapy to the children in their homes at no cost. The children do not need to be related to members of Elks. At a local and state level, national level, we have scholarships from $1,500 to $20,000 with winners out of our lodge every year. We hold a hoop shoot contest, soccer shoot contest, drug awareness poster and essay contest, and an Americanism contest. That's just a few of the activities we do for the youth in the community. Thank you for allowing us this time to share that with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all you do. Sir, if you could identify yourself, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, rest of the commissioners, those of you who sign my paychecks. My name is Jeff Fisher. I reside at 1401 Pine Way Drive in Haverhill. I work in Parks and Recreation as a manager for one of our golf facilities. And I'm here to just let everybody know that as a 30-year Elk Plus, this endeavor has been long awaited with a business, a developer and Marcus organization to finally get this achieved. And like a lot of other fraternal organizations, we do concentrate not only on charities and our youth and our community, but veterans. I'm here just to say a few words about what we do for veterans. If anybody's a veteran in here, thank you for your service. Annually, we normally give between 90 and 100 what we call canteen booklets, which are really $25 gift cards at Christmas for the VA hospital live-ins, the live-in veterans there. We invested $10,000 on a remodel of the VA hospital clothing closet for the homeless veterans. We host a dinner and karaoke at our lodge once a month for the VA hospital blind veterans. We take the VA hospital wheelchair veterans to Duffy's for lunch. We provide and serve dinner at the VA hospital Fisher House. We provide and serve coffee and snacks in the VA hospital lobby and waiting areas. We fill backpacks with personal items and distribute them to homeless veterans. Purchase household items for veterans who are moving from shelters to their own apartments. We donate Christmas presents to homeless veterans. We provide a meeting place, usually monthly, to the Marine veterans. Host a yearly luncheon and ceremony for Vietnam veterans. We participate in Veterans Day Parade here on Clematis. and we hold an annual fundraiser for the Army of Hope. I could probably go on, but I think you get the idea. I appreciate your time today and working with Marcus Organization and my fellow Elks that are present today, especially our Lodge Advisor, Ed Morey, and our District Vice President, Minya Kane. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your service. Very good. Those are all the cards that we have, and we have a couple of comments from our commissioners. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank our speakers from the Elks Lodge. This lodge is in District 2, and I've had the pleasure and opportunity to go to their annual barbecue contest and be one of their judges, and I have the increased belt size to prove it. And it's a wonderful event that they do every year as a fundraiser, and it's really a great thing. But I think what's in front of us is the opportunity to provide a total of 195 housing units, of which 25% of those 49 units are going to be workforce affordable housing, which, as we all know, how important it is. And so I would like to go ahead, Madam Mayor, and move this item forward.
Very good, thank you. Does anybody, any of my colleagues wish to say something? No, at this time? Very good. I know we have some seconds over here. I just want to mention that I love the Elks Club. My dad was a resident at the VA hospital in West Palm. You guys were there. He had been an elk for many, many years, and my mom was too, when they allowed women a number of years ago. And I thank you for your service to our community, to our youth, to our veterans, and I thank the applicant for remembering that we are a community together. If you're going to build, let's build around and build a whole community up. Thank you. And Commissioner Weiss, I thank you. This is in your district, and you have moved that this be approved. I have a second over here with Commissioner Baxter. Are those for? Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming here today. Very good. Moving right along to the next one, which is Bednar's Market. And if we could have staff report at this time. Would we like to have a staff report? Would the applicant come on up? Good morning, Ms. Morton. Would you
Good
come on up
morning.
and you'll be recognized to do your petition? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, fellow commissioners. Jennifer Morton with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Bednar's Market project to you today. Also with me is my client, Steve Bednar, his family attorney, Mark Perry, and Alex Aaronholtz from J. Morton. He was the project manager with our firm. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. I know everyone's heard of Bednar's Market. Hopefully everyone, if they haven't been there, will have an opportunity to visit Bednar's Market. The first Bednar's Market was actually in the Ag Reserve on the west side of State Road 7 between Atlantic Avenue and Boynton Beach Boulevard. It was the vision of the Bednar family over 10 years ago to establish Bednar's Market, and through a lot of hard work, nights, weekends, and determination, they've actually seen their vision expand. There are now 2 additional locations, one in Delray Beach, one in West Palm, and hopefully in the near future we'll have one up in the North End. So, before I go into my presentation, Mark Perry would like to say a few words about agro-tourism. That's kind of actually how this project got started, and then when he finishes, I'll go through my presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Mark Perry, 88 Northeast 5th Avenue in Delray. Good morning, Mayor, council members. I think it's important to understand how we got here. It started out initially, this bill was passed by the legislature, basically protecting agritourism and recognizing how important it is to the farming community. With that, when this was passed, I met with Ramsey Bulkley, the director of PZMB, and asked him, as I thought, my interpretation is basically you could put an agritourism on a preservation piece. At the time, he agreed with me on that, and so I met with Jennifer Morton. We had a meeting then with county staff. County staff did not support my interpretation of the legislation, but suggested to go through a comp plan amendment. I felt I was right, but I was afraid I was going to be wrong if I bucked staff. So what we did is we went through development ordinance, which you've got presented to you here that you're looking at and voting on, saying basically, under these circumstances, we would agree to a market on a preservation piece in the Ag Reserve. So thinking of this would meet the terms of what the Bednar family needs, then that's what we are going to go ahead and proceed with. Unfortunately, you're looking at a recommendation of denial from staff. Very disappointing for us. Again, if you look at the legislation itself, it's the intent of the legislature to promote agritourism as a way to support bona fide ag. That's exactly what we've got here. If you turn to see the definition of actually agritourism activity, and if I may, and I hate to read, but understand, means any agricultural related activity consistent with a bona fide farm, livestock, or ranch, or in the working forest which allows members of the general public for the recreational, entertainment, and educational purposes to view or enjoy activities on farms. This meets the term, I believe, of what the Bednars have at their location. So the bottom line is, I think, with the intent of the legislation, with the ordinance you have in front of you, I think there is strong support to support Bednars with their market at this location. I cannot fathom not wanting to support the Bednar family. They've been in this area since 1960. They are bona fide ag themselves. They're planning on still proceeding with this plan. And again, this supports the Bednar family, and it is agritourism. It's something beneficial to the community in this area, Palm Beach County and South Florida. I will make myself available if there's any technical questions, but I turn it back over to Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Morton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mark. With that, I'll begin my presentation. So we really have two requests before you today. The first is a text amendment to the comprehensive plan to allow an agricultural marketplace use in an AGR MUPD off-site preserve area under the CLR land use designation. It's a very specific. The second request that we have before you today is for a land use change from AGR to commerce on 2 parcels of land. So let's look at the first request, which is the text amendment. The specific text amendment request is to be able to locate a conservation easement on the Bednar Marketplace. It would be part of an AGR MUPD off-site preserve. As the staff report referenced, that's for the All Seasons project. The specific text amendments are twofold. One is we are requesting to add the definition of agricultural marketplace into the comprehensive plan. Right now, that definition is in the zoning code. We're taking the exact definition that's in the zoning code and placing it in the comprehensive plan. The second is 2 amendments under the future land use section. The first relates to the AGR MUPD, and we're requesting language to be added which says an agricultural marketplace as defined in the introduction and administration element is allowed within the required preserve area of an AGR MUPD consistent with policy 1.5U. So policy 1.5U references the CLR land use designation, and it further goes on to state that in addition, an agricultural marketplace with a development order approved prior to May 31st, 2013 is allowed within the required off-site preserve area. Again, further restricting the location of the marketplace as a preserved parcel. As far as we can tell, there's only one project that's been approved prior to May of 2013 as a Class A conditional use, and that's the Bednar's Market. A little bit of history. Back in 2012, when the Bednars were contemplating the marketplace to be located at this location, the Board of County Commissioners actually directed staff to look at potential changes to the policies and regulations to allow an agricultural marketplace. There was actually a workshop in 2012, and the BCC adopted language in the zoning code that allowed for an agricultural marketplace, but it was very specific. It said that the marketplace had to be accessory, incidental, and subordinate to bona fide agricultural uses in the ag reserve tier. In my opinion, that's one of the reasons why you don't see any other marketplaces in the ag reserve, because of this specific language. And you can see that the Bednar's farm all the land surrounding the marketplace, so it is incidental and subordinate. Some of the justification for our text amendment, we believe that this text amendment furthers the policies and objectives of the Ag Reserve. The Ag Reserve specifically references enhancing agricultural activities. Well, what better way to enhance agricultural activities than allow the farmer that farms to be able to sell his produce locally right on his farm? The policy also states that the agricultural reserve tier shall be preserved primarily for agricultural uses, reflecting the unique farmlands and wetlands. So here you have a farmer that not only grows locally, but he sells the produce that he grows along with his fellow farmers. There's also honey that's sold from local bees, and there's some plants that are sold as part of the nursery industry that's in the Ag Reserve. Again, Bednar's Market is supporting all of these industries that currently exist in the Ag Reserve. It's also a place for the residents that live in the Ag Reserve and even outside of the Ag Reserve to really see that their county produces these fruits and vegetables, because at his shop, they're selling what is produced locally. It also furthers sustainability. The produce is grown locally, transported locally to the Bednar's Market, and then sold locally. So it is the epitome of a sustainable production chain. In addition to supporting the farmer, supporting the residents, he also does a lot for our local educational system. He partners with the Refuge, and they have school trips from many of the local schools that come out, go to the Refuge, and they go to Bednar's Market. They see the land that's been farmed, and they have activities out there. Not just for the local students, but also for families that they're able to experience farming. He has the pumpkin patch, and he has the You Pick strawberry patch, where you can come out there with a bucket and your family pick the strawberries and pay for what you pick. So very educational. In addition, Bednar's Market creates a sense of place for the Ag Reserve. It's a rural character. Everything from the signage to approaching the facility. I think the people that live in the Ag Reserve are proud to have Bednar's Market in their community. And as Mark mentioned, we believe it's the best example of an agritourism, agricultural educational area for Palm Beach County. Finally, the Bednar family. Their 3 generations of farmers have farmed in Palm Beach County. Steve's parents moved down here in the 1960s and from Pennsylvania and started farming. And what he's proposing to do today is to plan for the future. And this will allow farming to continue into the future. So the second request that we have before you today is for a land use change on 2 properties that Steve and his family own on 441. These two parcels, the first one is a 5-acre parcel north of Bednar's Market at the northwest corner of Lee Road and 441, and the second 9-acre parcel is south of Bednar's Market. There was a lot of discussion, before we even submitted both these parcels are consistent with the criteria that staff established, the board adopted to allow for commerce in the ag reserve. We meet the location criteria, we meet the acreage criteria. In fact, we've submitted 4 or 5 companion zoning applications that are in process right now as part of this request. There was a lot of discussion about location and compatibility in the staff report. When you look at the 441 corridor has always been historically the location for businesses that serve the ag reserve community. You've got feed and seed stores. You have chemical supply companies. This has been the area where the packing houses are located. You have a large Piro Farms packing facility on the west side of State Road 7, just south of Bednar's. You have Monty packing facility. And finally, the Alderman family moved their packing facility to State Road 7. In addition, there have been several commerce land use requests that have been submitted, supported, and adopted by this board that are located along the State Road 7 corridor. There's references that these parcels are isolated and they're adjacent to existing preserve areas as a reason for recommending denial. Well, I would counter that many of the applications for commerce along State Road 7 are isolated and are adjacent to preserve land. You've got Homerich, LAS Farms, Sunflower, even the BBX project recently approved. And then you have the Solid Waste Authority, although that's not commerce, that's isolated, and it was land that was owned by Palm Beach County that was surrounded by land purchased by Palm Beach County with bond money. So if you look at the two parcels individually, we have the 5-acre parcel located on the northwest corner. There's reference to the proximity to the refuge. This parcel is over 600 feet from the refuge. That's 2 football fields, and it's separated or divided by land that's farmed, as well as a 400-foot wide FP&L transmission lines. If you look at the parcel to the south, that parcel is sandwiched between Bednar's Market and 2 properties that, although they don't have a commerce land use designation, for all intents and purposes, they look like light industrial uses. You can see from this graphic here, these are the 2 parcels directly south. When we come through with our application, we'll be required to have landscape buffers, paved parking lots, terminal islands. So, it will be an improvement to the corridor from a design perspective. From a consistency with the comprehensive plan, we meet the criteria that this commission established for requesting commerce in the future land use element. We're compatible with the ag reserve tier policies. We're compatible with our surrounding area. We're consistent. There aren't any overlays in this area, and we meet the public facilities and service requirement. And then the last part of my presentation really is about supporting the local farmer. And the Bednar family is coming forward now. This is part of the overall family master planning, how to allow farming to continue to the next generation and into the future. This is an article, although it's from the Tampa Times. It references the loss of all these farming and ranching lands, and the major reason is the cost of doing business. So the Bednar family is making plans to be able to continue to farm into the future. Right now, they farm 666 acres in the Ag Reserve. And then if you look at Palm Beach County and Martin County combined, they farm just under 1,500 acres. So they are invested in the county, they're invested in farming, they want to continue farming, they want to provide opportunities to their next generation, and we respectfully request that this board support our request for the text amendment and our request for the land use change so that the Bednar family, as they plan for the future, can continue farming well into the next generation. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bourne. Do any of my colleagues have any questions before she sits down at this time? Very good. We're ready for the staff report.
And Bryce Van Horn with the Planning Division will present.
Very good. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Bryce Van Horn again with the Planning Division. This is, of course, the Bednar's Market Future Land Use Atlas and Text Amendment. First, to give some history of the site. In 2012, of course, as Ms. Morton explained, there was a BCC workshop regarding the Ag Reserve tier where the board directed staff to create within the Unified Land Development Code an agricultural marketplace use in order to support existing agriculture. The county created the agricultural marketplace use in 2012 in the ULDC, allowed only in a non-preserve parcel. And the Bednar Market was approved as an agricultural marketplace use in 2013. So that approval was tied to the overall 81 acres. That includes the preserved parcel to the west here and the 7 acres to the south of the Bednar's Market, and allow the agricultural marketplace use as an accessory subordinate and incidental to the bona fide agricultural activity on these other parcels. So the code required that 70% of the use be bona fide ag, a minimum of 75 acres, and allowed for the development of the store up to 24,000 square feet, with 10% allowed as a general retail. Currently, they have about a little over 6,000 square feet. Phase 1, I think, is about 8,000, and Phase 2, another 15,000. To date, this is the only ag marketplace in the Ag Reserve tier. Then more recently, in 2022, the site in red was part of the All Seasons Delray amendment application. So the development areas at Linton and Lyons, south of Atlantic, for a site with CLR designation, that's congregate living residential, future land use designation, and had a requirement for a 5-acre off-site preserved parcel. So this site in red was part of that application to serve as the off-site preserve and is required to record a agricultural conservation easement. So the amendment, again, before you today includes the applicant's text request to define agricultural marketplace in the comprehensive plan to match the ULDC language and to allow the use within an AGR MUPD preserve if the agricultural marketplace was approved prior to May 31st, 2013. This would then allow the 5-acre parcel A, which is an existing preserve, again, for all seasons, to be replaced by the Bednar Market, shown in blue. The applicant is seeking a commerce designation for the 5-acre parcel A and the 9-acre parcel B to develop over 213,000 square feet of warehouse with accessory office. And of course, concurrently, there are zoning applications and privately initiated ULDC revisions that are required to run concurrently. So as a first step in assessing the proposed amendment, staff considered the surrounding uses and development pattern, some of which Ms. Morton showed you. But zooming out a bit here, this aerial shows the subject sites subject to the proposed CMR future land use and the surrounding land uses in context of the immediate area. So surrounding this site, you see to the west, the yellow boundary, which is only part of the Arthur R. Marshall-Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. Part of that is in conservation, future land use, part of it in AGR. And again, this is just a small portion. The refuge is overall over 145,000 acres to the west. And to the east across State Road 7 is over 300 acres of land that the county purchased with bond money. So that's essentially preserve area that the county leases for agriculture and nursery. To the south, I'm sorry, to the west, of course, is the Bednar Preserve area, which is an AGR PUD preserve area, about 67 acres. To the east across State Road 7 from the 5-acre parcel is the Whitworth AGR PUD preserve area. To the north, surrounding the 5-acre parcel is other agricultural AGR PUD preserve area. All of these lands are preserved. They either have conservation easements on them or will be required to have conservation easements on them, except for the bond money purchase property, which the county owns. And then again, further to the south, additional preserve area. So the staff, assessment, so the agricultural marketplace use was already accommodated in 2012 as a use in the ag reserve tier, but was considered appropriate only in a non-preserved parcel. So the proposed amendment only provides a further exception to a use that's already accommodated in the Unified Land Development Code. This also represents a fundamental change in the policy from 2012, allowing existing preserve to be replaced with a retail market. There's no net gain of preserved land here. So the text amendment fails to further the goals and objectives of the tier of farmland protection and agricultural perpetuation. The Commerce Future Land Use Designation, yes, the sites are eligible to request CMR. However, the proposed amendment sites would create isolated pockets of industrial adjacent or proximate to preserve areas, active agriculture, and environmentally sensitive lands. The intensity would also far exceed that of the surrounding area, including the existing agricultural marketplace. So overall, the proposal is not consistent with the overriding agricultural reserve tier objective, which is to preserve and enhance agricultural activity, environmental and water resources, and open space. So as such, staff is recommending denial of the proposed text and future land use amendments. On October 13th, the Planning Commission also recommended denial in a 7-4 vote. So the motion would be to deny transmittal. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Any of my colleagues have any questions at this time? All right, very good. Thank you, I appreciate it. We do have a card. But does the colleagues have any questions for any members of the staff at this time? Very good. We're going to proceed to the, yes, Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Yes, the marketplace as listed, that it is accessory, incidental, and subordinate to a bona fide agricultural use. Does that mean it has to be connected to the property that is the bona fide ag? Like contiguous to?
Correct. Currently, the way and this language, the language that regulates the agricultural marketplace use today is in the code, not the comprehensive plan. But that language requires that it be adjacent to and part of and connected to the bona fide agricultural use. So that land area, that 67 acres, it's in preserve as part of an AGR PUD. 7 acres to the south, which is actually part of the overall 14 acres where the marketplace is. The marketplace is on the north 7 acres. Other agricultural land owned by the Bednars is on the south part of that 14 acres. But yes, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, so just so I'm super clear, if we do this and a future marketplace wanted to open, it would have to be someone who is actively doing bona fide ag, and they would want to do this as part of their property, not just someone wants to open a marketplace next to a farm. Is that how I understand this?
Currently the agricultural marketplace is allowed in straight AGR zoning, so which is what is on this property right now. Not allowed in a preserve area. It also requires that it be adjacent to other agricultural bona fide activity. Does that land require, is it that land, other land required to be owned by the agricultural marketplace, proposed use? I don't think so, but we would probably have to talk to zoning and see if that's a I don't think that's a requirement that other land also be owned by the
bona fide ag.
operator of the proposed agricultural marketplace use, but it has to be, according to the code, part of the approval.
Okay, that may be something we need to discuss. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have an answer to that?
yeah, I think so, yes. So the
Okay, good.
code, the ULDC requires that, hold on, I just lost my place. Pardon me? Okay, a minimum of 70%, oh no, hold on. Where it talks about, geez, I just had it.
It's okay.
It talks about that there has to be a unity of control. Here it is, may be allowed if the land area has a minimum of 75 contiguous acres. A unity of control shall be required at the time for the approval of the Class A conditional use. So if you have, if you have multiple owners, they would record a unity of control over the property. So
And the unity of control would be part of the bona fide ag.
would be part of the, so let's say the farm is owned by someone other than the parcel where the marketplace would be, they're going to have to record a unity of control binding all the parcels together. So you can have two separate owners, but they're gonna have a document recorded in the official records that essentially makes the whole thing a whole property.
And that will be part of this, if we move this forward, the unity of control agreement would be part of this
Well,
code?
I believe they own it.
Well, I mean, if we pass this and any future applicants were to come to do this, it
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
in the
a
future,
similar-
yeah, it's in the code, so in the future, they would have to have a unity of control.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, sir. When you say contiguous, it means they need to be right next to each other. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other questions at this time for any members of the staff? Very good. We have a couple of cards. We have one card. Mr. Commissioner Weiss, go right ahead.
Linda Smith.
Good morning. Take your time.
Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida. I'm speaking on behalf of the Sierra Club Loxahatchee Group. When I first heard about the Bednar's project and that they were expanding, I was hopeful that it would be an agricultural endeavor, and I thought it could be a good idea. We're saying a lot of words like agricultural marketplace, and I'm not quite sure where warehouses fall into that. This project is in the central portion of the Ag Reserve on the west side of State Road. That's kind of been a line in the sand. Much of the west side is in agricultural preserve and in conservation, owned by U.S. government and the South Florida Water Management District. The east side of State Road 7, as discussed, is owned by Palm Beach County. Much of the land is owned by Palm Beach County and was purchased with bond funds and leased for farming, which was the intent of the bond. Good job. Please protect our investment. There is often discussion by those looking to develop that farming has been squeezed out due to development. This is a fundamental policy change from what was adopted in 2012. This was already promised to be in a preserve, if I understand all of the documents, and now that promise is being broken. In other words, some project someplace else got to do something if they promised to keep it in preserve, and now they're not. I'm not sure how the purpose of a self-storage, flex office, and warehouse for unrelated contractors, what it has to do with the goals and objectives of the Ag Reserve and enhancing agricultural activity, environmental and water resources, and open space within the agricultural tier. I don't see this as being farming. Over 210,000 square feet, plus all the pavement. This used to be all kind of green, and now there's not much green left. I know these are just drafts. I understand that. This will also kind of eliminate any way that the expansion of the very successful existing agricultural marketplace known as the Bender's Vegetable Stand, which is a successful retail farm stand and an agricultural and education center, as was discussed. They take kids out on, the rides, the wagon rides, and they show them how they grow their food. This is what we want. We want to support Bender's family as it relates to any agricultural activity, not just more text amendments, and everybody knows I've spoken against text amendments in the past. This transmittal would lead you to believe that there's no adverse effects. I'm not quite sure how an increase of 486 trips on State Road 7 would not have a detrimental effect. So please stand with the staff and the Planning Commission. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your advice. All right, are there any other cards, Commissioner Weiss? No. Seeing none, I think we're going to proceed to a discussion. Does anybody wish to say anything about this application before we move forward on a vote? Seeing none, does anybody wish to make a motion at this time?
Mayor, I'd like
Commissioner Baxter, your light's not going on for some reason.
I would like to make the motion to approve the Bednar Market, FLUA, and text amendment.
Okay, and do we have a second? We have a second by Vice Mayor Marino. All those, all those for? Aye. Aye. Anybody against? Me. Mayor is no. Then see that it passes 6-1. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along to comments at this time. The Assistant County Attorney, do you have any comments at this time, sir?
Nope.
Well, that's pretty definitive. How about the Planning Director?
Good morning. I do have just a few items briefly to run through. The first two I emailed to the board last week. One was just an informational item for the board, summary of the activities of the Planning Commission for the last calendar year. They do serve as the LPA, or the local planning agency, to the board. So it's just a summary of any new appointments, reappointments, what items were heard before the Planning Commission, their recommendation, and the ultimate vote by the board. No action needed on that. And then the second was just an informational memo regarding the annual capital improvement element table updates. Typically, at the first comprehensive plan hearing of the year, there would be an amendment to the comprehensive plan to adopt those tables. Again, you were not taking any action on any capital projects. Those are all budgetary items that had already been approved by the board, or in the case of the school capital projects, the school board, 5-year road program. Statute changes don't require that to be a comprehensive plan amendment, so that's why we didn't have that as an amendment, but those tables are all still available on the comprehensive plan website. And lastly, just a brief personnel-related item. I'm not saying goodbye because I'm not leaving, but I did last year make a decision to step back from the planning director position, and I will be transitioning into a new role, still with planning, zoning, and building, but in the administrative division. So I'll still be here at various times, but won't be at this seat anymore. So I just wanted to give the board an update and say how much of a pleasure it's been to work with you all, and thank you for your service. And I'm not saying goodbye to my staff either, because they'll still get to work with me, but so, thank you.
We used to be available on our agenda review when it comes to these issues, Kevin, or?
Yes,
you know,
I could
yeah, why
be
not?
available.
Could you? Okay, good. Very good. That's very helpful. Well, that's a very good promotion. Congratulations. Okay, the executive director and/or the deputy county administrator.
No comment.
Very good. Now let's go on to the commissioners. And this time we'll start from my left. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Just a few comments. Didn't get to make my comments yesterday with regards to items discussed in the workshop. I hope you'll indulge me by sharing
Go
some
right ahead.
priorities that are very important to my district.
Sure.
But first, I wanted to go back and revisit the board meeting from the 23rd. The comments I delivered with regards to the county's search for suitable properties for a house of worship everywhere in the county, including my directive to staff that the search should include preserved lands. You asked me to withdraw my direction, and I did so after you clarified that the search would include properties across the county, including preserved lands. During agenda review, I spoke with Ms. Whitney Carroll, who informed me that the current search did not include properties and preserved lands in the Ag Reserve. So I just wanted to make it crystal clear that hoping and expecting that the staff will come back with some kind of alternatives and plans for locating properties for the house of worship, for the synagogue, in preserved lands, as I initially requested of staff at the 23rd meeting. I have a few other comments I wanted to make with regards to District 3 specifically. It's early in the budget process, but I wanted to get it out there on the record because it's very important to people who are watching right now, watching from District 3. As you all know, and have heard over and over again, the Hispanic Cultural Resource Community Center is my top priority. And we've been working with staff, thank you, Ms. Virginia Baker, and to Izumi for your search for suitable land in my district. But I would like this project to be made a permanent priority and have it added to our capital projects list. There's also an organization that rents property from the county that does food, resource service, distribution services, child care and education. It's called Family Impact. That's formerly known as Lake Worth West Residential. They're a nonprofit. They operate out of a trailer that's crumbling. This is property that they're not able to use anymore. They've been forced to operate out of other churches and houses of worship because it's not safe. They teach kids there. They read to kids. They put together food care packages for families who are in desperate need in my district. I'd like a permanent trailer or building for Family Impact to be added to our capital projects list as well. 211 is not in my district, but I visited them. I believe they're in Commissioner Weiss's district. They are a critical service provider for the elderly in our community. I've visited their facility, their volunteers. They make calls to elderly residents, 600 calls a day to check up on our seniors' wellness checks. They provide food resources as well. They counsel people who are considering suicide and actually do relieve 911 of a portion of their burden by taking these calls instead of having these calls directed to 911. I would like support for 211 in the amount of $500,000 also added to the budget as a priority. I will have some more in the future, but that's all I have for now. And I appreciate your time. I just wanted to say, today is day 136 of the hostage crisis in Israel. We have over 100 hostages still being held, including a 1-year-old baby. I know we have a lot on our plate, all of us, not just Board of County Commissioners, but citizens across the country and across the world. But we can't forget about what's happening in Israel, and just keep them in your thoughts and prayers, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Barnett. Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you. Slightly different note than my colleague here. I have a town hall meeting tomorrow night in Highland Beach. I'm taking the A-team for Parks and Rec facilities. For anyone who's been around any amount of time, you know Milani Park was purchased. Well, the land that for the future home of Milani Park was purchased in 1987. I like to remind people I was in the 5th grade when this happened. I have inherited this, and as we all have, and we're down to the final end of this. We were given the option to extend it one last 5-year extension, or we begin design. I asked all of you, and I appreciate your support, to not kick it down the road one more time, because kicking it down the road is how we all ended up with this in the first place. With that being said, it's going to be a very interesting night tomorrow night. And I just hope that everyone understands that the contract that was written, that was purchased with bond money, we like to all remind ourselves that bond money, the voters voted on this, the voters paid for it. This is owned by the people of Palm Beach County, and it's specific for it to become a public park. And hopefully the people in Highland, I've had a number of meetings trying to kind of calm things down, because there's been a lot of bad information and a lot of thinking that there is an option for this not to be a park. That is not an option. The contract is pretty firm. SME pulled it up from 1987. So we've looked back, we've had lawyers look at it. We are moving forward with this, and the public comment tomorrow hopefully will be more amenable to how we make this a nice park for the community and a nice park for all the residents of Palm Beach County. So I just wanted to thank you in advance for supporting not kicking this down the road one more time. It's time that we all deal with this, and hopefully I'll come back next week with a report of fairer times for us and not such hostilities. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I want to thank my colleagues for understanding my absence last week so I could attend with our committee from National Association of Counties, a fact-finding and meeting out in Silicon Valley as to generative AI and the impacts that we have today and what we can expect in the future. With that in mind, I'd like to ask the board that I be given an opportunity at an upcoming workshop to spend an hour or so updating you all on what we've learned so far from the committee's work, and to just keep you informed as to what we're doing and what's happening in the world of generative artificial intelligence and other types of artificial intelligence as we're moving forward very, very quickly with this new technology. So,
thank you so much. I look forward to receiving that from you on artificial intelligence.
Thank
sure
you.
It'll be delivered by a robot or something like that.
Unless you think I'm a robot,
No.
then, although some people think I'm a little stiff at times,
No,
so
no.
there you go.
You're fine, Commissioner. All right, Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, my kids think that I'm stiff, so
Yeah.
so
two
we're
robots
both
there.
robots. So
Two bots here.
thanks for bringing us the workshop on AI and looking at that. So I look forward to the conversation. And lastly, today's January 31st, and starting tomorrow is Black History Month, and I look forward to the many different programs that we provide at the county and the different areas in the community. So look forward to celebrating Black History Month. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
I just want to say thank you to staff for all the hard work you do. Thank you for coming together with us. I feel like we've had back-to-back meetings. So thank you again. Today being January 31st, it's actually my mother-in-law's birthday, so I'd like to wish her a happy birthday.
Oh, very nice.
And just say thank you to my fellow commissioners. Have a great one.
Very good. Thank you. I see that we have a light from Assistant County Minister Patrick Rudder.
Mayor, thank you. Just before we closed, and I know you have comments left, just want to be very clear on board direction, the points that Commissioner Barnett brought up, the 2 items to add to the budget for the planning and development of it for 24-25, and make sure the board is clear on that direction. And then also regarding the houses of worship on preserves in the Ag Reserve, we can come back to you with a handful of options about how that may be done at a future date, and then we would set potentially hearings after that time. So just want to be clear without objection.
Very crystal clear what
Gotcha.
Commissioner Barnett said. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner. And now Vice Mayor Marino.
Thank you, Mayor. It is also, as we learned this morning at our breakfast, Heart Healthy Month starting next month, so please take care of your hearts. Mac and I had the pleasure of addressing Palm Beach North Chamber today in a roundtable along with Virginia Baker of the county and what's going on. So I appreciate Mac joining me there, and thank you for this is your last one. Yeah. So it was rousing questions about housing, transportation, infrastructure. So we had the opportunity to also field some questions. Hopefully we did a good job. With that, I'll just say thank you. Everyone have a good afternoon. Oh, as Mac also said that I was voluntold to do all this other stuff that we're going to go forward with. You heard me say yesterday that I had read the 20 charters from our other charter counties. And there's a lot of information on those charters, our duties, the director's duties, hiring practices. So when we start talking in the future about organizational charts, I also pulled up all the organizational charts for those 20 counties. We have a lot of research and a lot of information available to us, and I'm going to be working with the Florida Association of Counties also on that information. That's what they do, and they're, we're supporters of them, they're supporters of us, so best practices around the state are what I will be looking for, and I welcome comments from everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Commissioner Baxter. You've put me to shame. It's also my mother-in-law's birthday, so
Oh, no.
happy birthday. Thank you.
I hope they don't talk, but now that's taken care of. So anybody else has a mother-in-law whose birthday is today? Let's make sure we take care of families here. Okay, it's my turn. I had a wonderful event last week with regard to traffic and on Lyons Road specifically. And we had many of our neighbors, we had community advocates there from COBRA and the Alliance and West Boca Community Council, and we had staff, we had a lot of engineers, and it just was very impressive. And I think that the overriding issue that all of us have is traffic, traffic, traffic. So I had the great opportunity and honored to meet the president yesterday, and I mentioned to him that he was a former county commissioner. And I asked President Biden what was the biggest issue he had. And he said two things. He said, one, traffic and road construction. And second, he would never go again for county commissioner. So I thought that was interesting, and I invited him on behalf of the county to come back and help with our infrastructure, to help us funding for our infrastructure, because we are growing so quickly that we really need help to make sure that, that our roads are safe and that they are constructed, not just for this year, but for years to come. Because everything we do in this county is for the future. And I think that this is a very relevant thing. So I was honored to represent our county government. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for taking over. And maybe we can receive a little attention from the federal government when it comes to roads and infrastructure. So I want to thank everybody, and I want to wish every mother-in-law in the county a happy birthday. Take care of our mother-in-laws. And God bless everyone, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. It's adjourned.